the verbal assault and real abuse of our colleague, Congresswoman AOC. How I paid my dues to the caucus. This is beneath the dignity of a person serving in the Congress of the United States.
Is there a follow-up?
Let me just say, yes.
You talked about the pipeline earlier. And,
Yes,
and
Colonial.
They paid the ransom. We know there are issues larger than we thought with the D.C. police pack as well. Obviously, President Biden put out his executive order last night,
Yes.
but should these firms, and it's a question whether it's a private matter or a public matter because they serve so much of the public, should these firms be kowtowing to these terrorists to pay these ransoms, especially on the scale of what Colonial is doing? And what should Congress
What's
do?
the question? Should these firms win?
Should they be paying these ransoms?
No.
Okay, so did you disagree with them paying the ransom today, Colonial?
Well, the point is that we don't want people to think that there's money in it for them to threaten the security of a critical infrastructure in our country. I'm not, again, they made their decision, but really because of the service to the public that this is we've made drastic adjustments. We've waived the Jones Act so that ships carrying petroleum can come to certain ports in our country to keep the supply going. That's a big deal. To the extent that we know, especially in advance, what might be happening. And again, I think that we have to look to, this is, shall we say, Russian-oriented. We don't know Putin-oriented, but they don't even deny it. You know, the perpetrators of this don't even deny it. So we have a responsibility in three ways. One, security. That's the oath we take, protect and defend. This is a security issue. Two, economics. This is an economic issue, the dependence on energy, as we know people personally, but business-wise depend on that. And three, a governance issue. A governance issue. This cannot be open season for hackers who can make money off of a threat, even if they don't go as far as crippling the entity that as with Colonial, they did not. So it is. It has to be subject to review. I don't know what the conversations were with the management of Colonial, but I do think that there is a governance role in how we protect our people and our economy from these hackers.
Another thing, the president has been criticized, including by Democrats, for not doing enough to de-escalate the violence in the Middle East. There was a readout of his call yesterday with Prime Minister Netanyahu, in which he said Israel has a right to defend itself, but there was no mention, it seems, at least, of the Palestinians, nor any apparent criticism of what many see as a disproportionate response by Israel. I wonder what your reaction is to that, and could the president and the US be doing more?
I think the president took the appropriate, proportionate response to it all. The fact is that we have a very close relationship with Israel, and Israel's security is a national security issue for us as our friend, a democratic country in the region, that the president has restored the money to the Palestinians, $200 million early in his administration. So there's a respect for meeting the needs of the Palestinians. But there is a Palestinian power struggle, and this is about Hamas. So I wouldn't just label it Palestinian. I would say Hamas. And Hamas is threatening the security of people in Israel. Israel has a right to defend itself. Many of our members in our caucus are great friends of Israel, but understand also that we respect the self-determination, that we want a two-state solution in the region. But that doesn't give license to Hamas to bomb Israel.
Speaker, on immigration, please.
On immigration.
Thank you. The latest Border Patrol report shows a deterioration in the border situation, more interdictions. Do you think Vice President Harris is in the best position to exert her presence there to fix things.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just correct the record here. I don't know what aspect of the border you're talking about, but the record, the figures that came out in April showed that there was an 80% decrease of the number of children under the auspices of the Border Patrol, 6,000 something to 1,000 something. They had been moved out more expeditiously than before because the Biden-Harris administration had reconstructed how we deal with the situation at the border. As I have said on the border, 3 R's. 3 R's. What are the roots of this immigration? And that's where the Vice President has been tasked to, I don't know, visit physically, but communicate directly with the governments of the Northern Triangle, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. I think she is very well suited to do that. Secondly, roots. Second are reconstruct. You had to deconstruct the horrible situation that the Trump administration had created at the border. Deconstruct it so you can reconstruct a better system, and they have. And the third is our friends, the refugees. This is something now I'm pleased that the president has raised the number of people who can come into our country. Every country has a moral responsibility to help those, in fear of persecution. So Madam Vice President said that she has engaged the Secretary of Agriculture to be part of that. So it's Vice President, I'm so proud of her, Vice President Harris, but with the resources of the Biden-Harris administration. Get to the root cause of it, reconstruct the system that was there so that it works better, and third, understand our responsibility to refugees, the 3 R's. I will say in that conversation, the president was totally knowledgeable, chapter and verse, very concerned, and something I think that he deals with every day. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about that. Oh, supplemental. One of the concerns I have, I'm pleased with what the Vatican put out on that subject. Did you read that?
That'll be up to the individual priests?
No, it basically says don't be divisive on the subject. Thank you.
Thank you.
You ready
Hey,
for the
so I've been
cicadas?
up all night watching the Warriors until 12 something, and then the Lakers and the Knicks until 1 something going into overtime. Why don't they play these games earlier?
You know, the
Preach to
Bengals
the
and
choir, man.
49ers play each other this year. That's on the schedule.
Yeah, there we go.
Are you ready for the cicadas?
Excuse me?
Are you ready for the cicadas?
Apparently not.
Get ready.
But I told my brother, I told my husband that we had a nice Father's Day a month early in store for him. We'll see if we can get tickets. Anyway. Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.